One of the things I'm curious about is this is Justin Trudeau who's hosting this. He's in Canada. What is it that he wants to get accomplished, and what do the rest of the countries, particularly the United States, want to try to get accomplished?
Well, definitely, David, this is one of those situations where the agenda kind of gets thrown out the window. As you mentioned, the stewards of the global economy ostensibly here to talk about ways to grow the economy and include more people in it. That's Justin Trudeau's vision. But this time the ministers are bringing their own elephants to the room, U.S. trade policy and Italy. Of course, those multiple media reports suggesting that President Trump will impose steel and aluminum tariffs on most of the rest of the G7 as soon as today, including the EU and the host country here, Canada. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin going to be under a lot of pressure. Treasury officials say they anticipate that and say he will give a vigorous defense of the president's policies, particularly arguing that the steel and aluminum tariffs are needed for national security reasons. The other members of the EU are saying that's absurd. This is supposed to be a meeting of allies, not enemies. And you can be sure they're going to be pressing the Treasury Secretary, even though he's not a trade minister, for some kind of last-minute relief.
Well, exactly. If he thought he was a trade minister, some people in the White House, like Mr. Navarro, have sort of disabused him of that notion.
Oh, the whole trade war thing.
So when they're talking about global growth up there, how much of a wet blanket, if I can put it that way, is the U.S. posture on trade really going to be?
Well, it is definitely going to be a wet blanket because the U.S. is the largest customer for all of the other members of the EU, of the G7 rather, including the EU. So any kind of trade barriers the U.S. puts up is going to be a threat to their growth. So they definitely want to make that case, as they have to Mnuchin in these international fora for quite some time. So far, the U.S. seems unbending, and there is real concern about that.